Hello my friends, and welcome to a video I really wasn't expecting to be making right now. I had a different video planned, it's basically almost ready, but we just received a new and pretty exciting update about Subnautica 2, and initially I thought this matter was as simple as the short I posted. Here are the main points, that's it, done deal. But seeing some of the drama on Twitter regarding how this update initially came through, as well as the two screenshots of the game that you guys have asked me to look into, I figure, okay, this is probably worth a video, so today we're gonna jump right into it. Now, it all began with Krafton, the company that owns Unknown World Entertainment, the developers of Subnautica, publishing their Q4 2023 financial report. Now, just like in their last financial report that we looked at, this also included projects that are coming in the future, and among those was, of course, Subnautica 2. Yes, Subnautica 2, that does seem to be at least the operative title that they're working with for now, even though it might not be the finished title, we don't know yet. And the slide where this game is mentioned includes some interesting things. First, the game is described in bold letters as multiplayer sequel to the original IP, which is very exciting. And then of course we see the highlights of Unreal Engine 5, a 1 to 4 player co-op, which is obviously incredible, but something that people most zeroed in on was game as a service model. Now the wording here is weird, but this by itself wouldn't be such a big problem since the majority of people are never going to see this financial report. But here comes IGN with a loaded catapult, ready to shoot your expectations from the top of a mountain into the abyss of despair, when they post on Twitter saying Subnautica 2 is a multiplayer-focused live service game, without any double-checking or confirmation with the devs. Unsurprisingly, if you're like me, and you've developed some sort of an allergy to when a game is marketed as a live service game up front, it explains why so many people had a very negative reaction to this. I mean, I had people messaging me saying, it's over, time to pack our bags, pick a different game because Subnautica is done, and reading through the Twitter responses at the time was freaking rough. But what was perhaps even more painful, putting myself in the shoes of the developers, was when the devs actually posted their own clarification post a little bit later, explaining the truth behind these statements. The reality is, this was a presentation made by Krafton, and it really highlights why you should consult the devs before, making big claims and posts like this, because what they meant by games as a service does not mean subscriptions, it does not mean battle passes, and it does not mean season passes. All it means is that they are going to release in their typical early access update model with, I suppose, a possibility of DLC later. I mean, we already knew this, they had announced it will be early access previously, and so in reality you won't have to worry about any sort of live feature like a paid subscription or a paid battle pass in the actual game. Now on top of that, they did say what we already knew, early access is not coming in 2024, but we will be getting more information on the game this year, which is super exciting. And finally, and this is just great to see, even though it was described as multiplayer focused, that's not entirely true. Co-op will be a part of the game, but it is entirely optional. So if you want to keep the game single player and just have a good time by yourself, that will be entirely possible and encouraged. Now, attached with all of these news came two screenshots. One pretty small in the Krafton financial report, which by the way is no longer accessible, at least for me, the link appears to be down. And the next on the official Subnautica Twitter, which has been confirmed by Liam Tart to be actually taken, in-engine or in-game, I suppose. I don't want to spend too much time on these since, as he says, there will be a lot more updates and, visual improvements coming to the game in the future, so this is still just a very early look and we really shouldn't be basing too much off of it. But I will say that I think the game already looks amazing. You see a massive visual step up here with the beauty of Unreal Engine 5 really coming through, but what I also love to see is that they're retaining some of the original look of the game, and it doesn't feel like a totally different experience that you wouldn't even be able to say that this is Subnautica. In terms of what we see in the actual screenshot, I mean, obviously it does look like a shallow area of some place. It very much looks like the Safe Shallows. The vehicle appears to be, to me, it looks like some sort of a mix of a sea moth and a sea truck. And the creature up front very much looks like a version of the brute shark, maybe. Looking closer at some of the other creatures, those do look a bit like some cursed peepers. and that's maybe like a cursed version of an eye, but the rest of it looks, yeah, very consistent with the safe shallows. You see a lot of corals and some sort of a rocky, sandy bottom. Now, obviously, I wouldn't take this as confirmation that the game takes place on planet 4546b. For all we know, as far as the Subnautica universe extends, there might be many other planets that are able to sustain this sort of life on them. But at least judging by the vehicle itself, it very much follows the style of other Alterran vehicles. So who knows, maybe it narratively isn't actually too far from the original 2 games. But that brings us to the end of the video. This is again just a very short update. I will have a fresh video ready for you guys next week. In the meanwhile, please check out the plushie. We're halfway there, only 2 weeks left to get it, so if you haven't yet, please take a look. I would really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, maybe consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. All those would be very much appreciated. Let me know what you're most excited about in the next game. And with that, I'll see you all in whatever next video I make. Bye bye.